Z and Gohan himself, Mr. Hebert.
Woohoo! What's up, guys? Next time on Dragon Ball Z. Fight you? No, I want to kill you.
Is that hitting some childhoods out there? Come on now. I got chills. I don't know about you guys.
I got chills.
Guys, if you want to ask Kyle some questions, maybe you can, I don't know if there's, yeah, you've got a mic. There's somebody over here with a mic, a nice plaid shirt over here. He will get the mic over to you. Don't be afraid to ask questions. We are here for you guys.
Nothing math related. I can't math.
Oh yeah, if you hit us with some math, we're just going to end the show.
What is the square root of pi? Like, I love pie.
Apple? I don't...
Yeah, apples. I love apples.
Kyle, you've been doing this for, it feels like forever now.
I've been doing this for 27 days, and it gets easier every 5.3 seconds, I tell you, mister.
Have you counted how many actual characters you've done over your career?
I haven't. I have not counted. I know IMDb has a very long list, so if you look me up on IMDb, you're going to be scrolling for a while. I'm very sorry. But there are some projects that are listed on there, and I can't give you an example right now of things that I'm not on. So it's kind of like Wikipedia. It's like it's a crapshoot. It's like this may be accurate, it may be questionable. But anyone who wants to ask me, were you in this? I can confirm or deny.
Well, you were in Bleach.
I was. I've been in Bleach. I still am in Bleach.
You're the voice of Ryu.
I'm voice of Ryu in Street Fighter 6, now available.
A couple more. I mean, tell me. Let me see here. Where's my whole list?
One Piece, Naruto, One Punch Man. Oh yes.
All those. Yes.
All those.
All of those.
Just all the most popular.
All of the animes
in the world, basically. Like
everything.
If you're into anime, you don't recognize this voice. You're not into anime.
Yeah. See, in the States, we have Cartoon Network, and every Saturday night or Sunday night they have Toonami, the programming block where they show back to back anime. I'm on 99% of those. Usually in a bit part capacity. I'm background voice. Suddenly you're watching and you're like, that sounds like Gohan. You're like, probably is.
It is.
Probably. And I'm just thankful that I get to do that. Even if it's not a big character, if it's someone who shows up and goes, it's coming this way! And then I'm dead, I still get paid. I get paid to have fun, and it's a blessing, you know?
So for the uninitiated that are maybe don't know anime or not big fans of anime, can you give us a little bit of a hint? Because clearly it's shot in Japanese language at the beginning, and then you essentially are dubbing the episodes as they come out, is that right?
Right, after the fact. So you may go on IMDb, we were talking about this before, it's like, so you started in 1985. It's like, no, I started in 2000. But I might have recorded on a Dragon Ball project that may have originally come out in 85. And we did the English version in the early 2000s. So, I already forgot what you said.
I thought IMDb was a little misleading there.
Just kind of the process, like, so people know what happens. Like, this is an already shot show, you're going in and dubbing.
Right, the dubbing process is different than a cartoon where you have all the actors recording in the same room. That's the most fun. Because they record the audio first and then they animate to that. It goes off to Korea, usually. A cartoon usually gets animated in Korea, a lot of studios there. And then it comes back. But anime is animated in Japan and Korea. Yes, Korean studios get a lot of work to make anime, and then when it comes time to do the English version, the animation is done, mostly. Nowadays, shows come out pretty much at the same time, but when we're dubbing them, instead of the finished animation, it'll look like an animatic, like a roughly, crudely drawn comic book panel. And we'll still have to dub it, and have to hope that the lip sync works. And if it doesn't, don't get mad. Because it's like, did they even try? It's like, honestly, we didn't have the materials. They weren't finished yet. But yeah, when anime is done, the animation's locked in. We can't change the mouth flaps to fit our performance. We have to adjust our performance to fit the animation.
That makes sense.
Which I feel is a little bit different than when you're dealing with a big production, a feature film. They usually record the voice first and then animate to it.
Right.
You guys do the opposite.
Right, yeah. It's the opposite, and it also pays a lot less. It's technically the hardest kind of voice work to do. But for whatever reason, dubbing is lumped in with like, oh, it's just a background thing, it doesn't really matter. It's the red-haired stepchild of voiceover. It's like, unfortunately, But that's starting to turn around in terms of respect level, certainly in the fandom. As big as anime is now, even people that don't record anime going, I wish I was in anime, man, look at y'all's lines. And I'm like, this is not why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is gravy, this is icing on the cake. I have fun doing this because I love doing voiceover for animated characters. And it coming out there and doing well in the world, and then you guys coming to the table. And it's not even about you, oh, you need to purchase something. Like, no, come to and say hi, introduce yourself and say, hey, I watched that show and that helped me in a hard time. Or it entertained me. Or I love that you did this. That means the world to me, man. That's tops. And then being able to make a living doing something I love doing, traveling the country or the world sometimes, meeting the fans face to face. And again, being able, your support is what keeps us going. So, thank you.
Yeah, talking about you guys, if you guys have any questions for Kyle, make sure you flag down the microphone. We do have a question for Kyle.
He knew right away. He's like, no, this mic isn't on.
The mic is not working.
Yeah, there we go. We'll get you a working mic. Don't worry, buddy. We got you.
How's that not feeding back? That's really good. Okay, go ahead.
Do you just do the anime voice for the money?
I didn't catch that. What?
Do you do the anime voice for the money?
Do you do it for the money? Are you in it for the money, Kyle?
No, I'm not in it for the money because again, anime doesn't pay what video games and cartoons and movies and television pays. So, I love that it's challenging to do. And like they could hire me to do a small voice on an anime that takes 10 minutes, but they'll pay me for 2 hours, which is nice. That's nice. They're making it worth my while to drive up to the studio. Now during the pandemic, we did recordings from home. So if you were watching anime in 2020 to 21 or 22, that was all recorded at everyone's home studios. My home studio is just a walk-in closet. So yeah,
I think that's pretty indicative of a lot of voice actors. Just where's the dampest, quietest place that I can get into that's not going to reverberate sound throughout. So you've been in the business for over 20 years now.
Yeah, I started in August of 2000.
So you were there when anime was kind of like a niche little thing that a few small handful of people did watch, and now it's become this gigantic global phenomenon.
Huge.
What has been your impression, and especially your impact on that? How do you feel seeing anime grow from this niche little thing to this globally huge?
Well, it's also generational because people that grew up and maybe they're in their 30s now and they're starting their own families, they remember watching shows from 20 years ago. And now they're introducing their kids to those. And sometimes those shows get reboots or sequels. And then it just continues.
Yeah.
So tentpole franchise IPs, they say, intellectual properties like Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, things like that, where you're meeting people that got to work on those shows over the many years. That's kind of what's going on. So it's really cool to see people. I have met people that started out as a teenager, and then they'll come up to a show now, and they're fully grown, and they're married with kids, and it's like, that's so cool. It's really, really encouraging and fantastic to see the support of fans through all generations. I remember when going to cons in the early 2000s, parents kind of turned their nose up because they just didn't understand anime. And it's like, I'm just going to drop the kids off at the con. The con's free babysitting. And then nothing but dirt poor kids showing up. But now those dirt poor kids have jobs and they're able to afford coming to the conventions on their own and purchase things, and it's empowering. It's like I have a job and I'm saving my money all year to get to come to London or Fan Expo or wherever and get to meet people that worked on shows that I grew up on. That's really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Did we have a question over here?
We do.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, we grew up watching you play in Naruto, and we're big fans.
Let's go, Akamaru, Fang over Fang!
Thank you so much. I just had a question about the voice acting process during the pandemic. What was your mic setup like, and how did you feel the difference was voice acting at home versus at the office, and what that was like?
Good. So I'm spoiled by getting to record from home because, pants are optional. You literally roll out of bed, go into your closet or your recording space, fire up, log in on a couple of programs or apps, do a quick mic test. They may ask you to record on your end as a backup, they may not. They may just record on their end, but it's a digitally patching your setup to their setup. I love that. It gets a little nerve-wracking if your internet goes down, or if the app's not working, or if your mic's sounding weird for some reason. But yeah, you had to make a slight investment in the upgrades. Some people had to invest, thousands of dollars to get a whole soundproofed, treated workspace. I have always, for the past 10 years, been just recording in my closet. I did get a better mic, but not everyone has to drop $1,000 on a mic. You can get a mic that for your voice sounds fantastic, and it's not even necessarily a regular normal mic with a normal connection, an XLR cable, as they're called. It could be just a regular USB plug-and-play mic, and you can sound good on that. So technology has come such a long way that you're able to do so much more and sound broadcast quality professional without spending broadcast professional prices.
And as far as the process itself goes, when you guys are recording, you're recording separately anyway. Whether you're in studio or at home, you're never a group of voice actors recording together. So your process, whether you're at home or in studio, is probably very, very similar.
Yeah. So we're not even looking at each other on Zoom. They're on Zoom to just show me the video so I can watch the lip sync and all that. They're just listening. So the difference also is, you're not seeing physically your director and engineer, or maybe other actors who may have been scheduled. So you miss out on that. Now that things have calmed down, we are being asked to go into the studio more often than not. So I will see other actors, and it's like, it's great to see you. But then again, everyone's so busy with their own lives and work that we only get to reunite and catch up maybe at a convention. There's people that are from Los Angeles that I never see and never speak to unless I'm here at a con. And now I've met several others that live in Los Angeles, and I've met them for the first time because we are fellow guests at a con. That's pretty neat.
Let me jump off that too, because I'm sure there's people here that would love to take their shot at getting into voice acting.
Oh yeah.
And the voice acting community. So can you give some tips to the folks at home and anybody that's going to be watching this later on? They're an aspiring voice actor?
Yeah.
What is Kyle's guide to aspiring voice actors?
First of all, myself and a lot of my colleagues like to direct people to a website called iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. It sounds
really
like a joke. It's really it. iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. It was created by D. Bradley Baker, who is a veteran cartoon voice actor. He voices all the clones in the Clone Wars. He does tons of creature sounds. He was Opa in Last Airbender and all that. But, pardon me. So, that website basically goes into more in-depth analysis of what I'm about to say, which is, number one, become an actor. How do you become an actor? Take acting classes. Get acting training. If you're in school, get involved in your drama class. But I'm shy and introverted. Believe me, I can relate. I'm actually shy and introverted. But working in voiceover helped me get over that hump, so I can do public addressing, I can interact with people and all that. Am I exhausted at the end of the day? Yeah, but it's a good exhaustion, because I've spent all day talking about something that means a lot to me, interacting with other people that means a lot to them. So that's awesome. So even though you don't have to get a degree in acting to be an actor, you can certainly do a Google search and find an endless supply of voice actors that are working now, and voice directors and casting people that hold voice acting workshops or one-on-one training that you can do over Skype or Zoom. So look into that. Are you a voice actor if you take one class? No. Just like someone who goes to medical school because they went for 1 week, they're suddenly a doctor? No. It takes an investment. It does take money. It takes time. It takes patience. Get involved in as many different perspectives as possible. Learn from multiple coaches. Learn what you're best at. When you're a voice actor, don't think that, well, I can do impressions. That doesn't mean you're a voice actor. That means you're a good mimic. But the chances of that coming into play and you getting paid for that are very, very, very slim. It's already competitive as it is. just to get a regular thing. But your focus as an actor of any type, voice acting is just another kind of acting. Some people say, have you ever done real acting? Like, no, voice acting is real acting.
Only every day.
Yeah. We all act every day. You know, you act a certain way in front of your teachers. That's not the real you, is it? I mean, honestly, it's kind of a role. But yeah, I would do that first and foremost. Then after that, then think about maybe investing in maybe a good microphone and maybe a good soundproof setup in your closet, or maybe a recording space where it sounds nice and dead. You know, not dead. Dead as in not bouncing off the walls like this. This is not a professional recording sound up. This is for public address type stuff. This is completely different. This mic, not adequate for voice acting. But yeah, if you drop $100, $200 on a basic plug-and-play USB mic, you can get some decent sound, and you can do some free practice. There's lots of Facebook, Twitter groups, X, whatever, we call it Twitter still. Voice acting groups of people that are like you, that want to just practice and have fun, do fan dubs and all that. The key thing to remember is that's not considered professional work experience. You get paid on a project, okay, then put that on your resume. And definitely if you train with different voice acting coaches, put that on your resume. Build it up, take the time. And then stage 3, when you're ready, when your coaches and you have made the decision that I'm ready to make a demo now. Yeah, the technology exists. You could record a demo right now without having taken a single class. And you can have your friends or yourself put fancy sound effects and music and have it technically sound great. But if you haven't trained, you're not showcasing you as an actor. You're guesstimating, you're recreating scenes, and you don't know what you're best at. You don't have to be a jack of all trades. You don't have to have 5,000 voices to be a successful actor. You may learn through taking classes that you're best at a young hero voice, or maybe you're best at a big demon monster voice, or whatever. Those are niche things that are very specific and may not get all the work, but there is a need for that. You can do something that a lot of other actors can't. I don't know, we'll never get hired for. Get honed in on that.
I actually want to get into a little bit about how you find those voices, but I think we've got another question right now.
Oh, sure.
Hi, I was just wondering, how long did it take to record Soda's voice lines from Danganronpa?
To voice for Danganronpa, a video game series, also has an anime. With video games, we usually just have a script. We don't have any finished game footage to lip sync to. So literally, I'm looking at an Excel spreadsheet, or nowadays just looking at an iPad where it's displayed on the screen, the script. And it's line by line by line. Everyone's numbered numerically in order. So the director will tell me what's going on in the scene. And if there's a lead-in line saying, okay, this person is talking to Kaito, and he says, hey Kaito, how do you feel today? And my line on my script says, not so good, whatever. I like that director tells me what was said that I'm answering to. I need to know the context of that. So I could be done in 2 hours, depending on how many lines there are. Or it could be 4 hours. Or it could be 12 hours that they break up over multiple sessions. So the Danganronpa 2 and 3, I recorded those at the same time. So I got to do Kazuichi Soda and then Kaito Momota. Now they launched the second game, and I thought they launched the third. They didn't launch it at the same time, so I goofed up. I thought I was going to get in trouble with Atlas, and they're like, no, it's okay, because the fans are so excited to know that 3 is coming. But normally, this is why we don't talk about what are you working on?
You spilled some beans there.
I spilled some tea that shouldn't have been spilt.
Ruh-roh.
That's bad. So when we talk about things that are coming out, we should have the blessing of the studio or the client to talk about it. So when you guys say, hey, what are you working on? I'll say, stuff. What's the latest thing that you can talk about? Starfield. I'm background voices on Starfield. That's out. I can talk about that. But what's coming next? When people say, is there a new Dragon Ball Super series? I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Even if you have some idea.
Even if I did have inside knowledge, I'm not allowed to talk about it. And that's important, because if you talk about it and you're not supposed to, they could legally sue you or worse, just never hire you again. That's called blacklisting. That's not good.
Between working on video game stuff and working on dubbing some anime, do you have a preference between the two, or the process is similar enough that it just kind of feels like the same thing?
Well, it's a better payday, like I said. Games pay more, even though it's technically easier. But I prefer anime in the stylistic, creative sense, is because the animation's there. You see what the fans will see, then and there. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the challenge of having to do lip sync to that. In the video games, if we're dubbing a Japanese game, we match the timing of the Japanese audio instead of lip sync. They will have already pre-recorded the audio. Did you guys know that anime is also dubbed in Japanese? The actors dub it after it's animated too. And you'll notice that it doesn't always sync up with the lip sync. But their culture doesn't freak out the way ours does. If your lip sync is off by a millisecond, it doesn't match, and then you're taken out of the story. But they're focused on performance over there, so they're okay. And they do have all the actors together in the same room, and they'll dub it, they'll run through it scene by scene. Some of it syncs perfectly, some of it not so much. We on the English side work very hard to make it sync exactly, because we know that as our English-speaking culture is, you know, if you watch old Godzilla movies, those dubs are terrible. I mean, they're entertaining because they're so bad.
The best. The best. Absolute best.
We've got another question over here.
Hi.
Hi.
So, in a hypothetical scenario for Kazuichi, if Sony was in the picture in his love life, basically, who do you think, in your opinion, would he fall in love instead of her?
So you're saying instead of Miss Sonia?
Yeah, would he fall in love with like Hajime, Gundam?
I don't know, he's pretty obsessed, so I don't think he can just get over it and move on. I think he's just creepy stalker vibe all the way. Miss Sonia! It's just right there all the time.
Were you a fan of anime before you started doing the voice acting?
I'm 54, so I remember before anime existed as a word. I watched stuff in the 70s.
Japanimation, we called it back then.
I remember in the 80s it was called Japanimation. That is politically incorrect.
Very much so.
Very much so.
Don't use that term.
But in the 70s, they would import shows from Japan and dub them. But to us, it was just cartoons. Speed Racer. Created in the 60s. Transor Z. All sorts of things.
So you were already a fan?
Oh yeah, when Star Wars came out in the late 70s, again, I'm old, I saw original, before it was called A New Hope, or Episode 4, it was just Star Wars.
It was just called Star Wars, kids.
So then, all the TV producers are like, we need to get more sci-fi, we need some cartoons, let's get some stuff from Japan. So they got Star Blazers, space battleship Yamato in Japan. They got Gatchaman, which is Science Ninja Team Gatchaman. And they retitled it Battle of the Planets. And they dubbed and created some little animated sequences to make it look more sci-fi. So yeah, I grew up on that stuff. I didn't know it was anime, I just knew that I loved it because the stories and the animation was so much better than the usual Saturday morning stuff.
No, that's absolutely fair.
Can you get a little bit into how you go about finding a specific voice? Like when they came to you and said, you're going to play Gohan, how do you find that voice?
Well, at the audition phase, you see a printed page or on screen in an email nowadays, a picture of the character, a little bit about them, and some lines that show different emotional range. You know, this one he's angry, this one he's happy, this one he's calm, this one he's battle mode. So honestly, between the character description and a picture provided, I just hone in on what comes to my mind. And I'll submit that as an audition, and if they come back and go, hey, you're our Gohan, then great. But I knew that when I did Gohan, I made his voice raspy, because Stephanie Nadolny, who voiced Kid Gohan in the Funimation dub, had a really raspy voice. So I continued the raspy part of him, and that got me the gig. So I treat the audition like the job. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get it. Not because you're bad or anything. It's because it's so competitive. There's so many people all reading for these roles, and there's only so many roles, and you either are or you aren't what they're looking for. And what I mean looking for is in sound. Can this person act, especially someone taking a chance on a new person who hasn't done anime dubbing, and are we going to give him a big character like Gohan? They started me on bit parts first to see if I can take direction. Am I giving a good, consistent performance? Am I flexible when the director throws me curveballs? Can I give them what they're looking for? And I guess I passed the test. So after a couple of months of doing small stuff, they got to the part where Gohan, this is 2 months after I auditioned, then Gohan goes to high school. They said, congrats, Kyle, you're our Gohan. I'm like, my life turned crazy because I was a fan first, and then I became that. And then I took over as the narrator. And then I took over as Ox King, and then I did Weskai and PyCon and other bit parts too. And that gave me a career.
Can you remember a time where you did have to audition for a role and it was one that you really wanted to get and maybe one passed you by? Can you name like one or two that you remember specifically?
Well, the jokey answer, but there's still truth in it, is I want to get cast as everything they'd read me for.
But you're fair, all right.
But, you know, when you get a chance to read for a main character in a show, and then you don't get it, yeah, you get a little bummed. Golly, there's stuff that I still want to do. Like, I could die happy if I'm just a stormtrooper in Star Wars, either live action or animated. I don't care. Voice actors have to voice all those bit part things on Ahsoka and stuff. You know, they did that like a year or two ago when they shot it, but now people are watching it, and it's like, I'd be happy doing that. I would love to be in the Batman universe. There is one Batman, Kevin Conroy, and he's sadly no longer with us. Well, I would die for the chance to read for Batman. Do I think I realistically have a chance? No.
Can you give us a Conroy?
I'll put in a word for sure. Absolutely.
It just sounds, yeah, to let Warner Brothers know. Yeah. Number one, answer the strike. Treat actors right. And then low on number two, after all the demands are met in equal pay and compensation, AI considerations. Can I read for any future Batman? But he would probably end up sounding like Ryu. It's like the answer lies in the heart of battle. It just, like, I am the knight. I am Batman. I mean, it would just.
Down with that, right? Like that's good for me.
Troy Baker's gotten to play him. Roger Craig Smith's gotten to play him.
Oh yeah, there's been a ton of guys that have voiced him.
Oh yeah,
William Baldwin has voiced him, for goodness sake. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of the direct-to-video DC specials, they have a lot of really fantastic interpretations.
Yeah. I think we got a question right there. Yep.
Yeah, I just got a quick question. So, obviously, you're most known for your work as Gohan, and my girlfriend is a huge fan of your work in Danganronpa, specifically as Kazuichi Soda and all that. So, whether it's because you identify the most with the character, or you just enjoy the character and their personality or everything about them, or the status in the character in the show, what are your top 3 favorite characters that you've ever voiced?
Well, Gohan started my career. He's obviously the strongest character in the Dragon Ball universe, especially now. He's shown that after Superhero. Not to get spoilerific, but for those who haven't seen it. But he's had an upgrade. That feels great. Another character who's meant a lot to me is Kamina from Gurren Lagann. That's just a one-season show from 2008, 2009. People still come up to the booth at cons and go, that show made so much difference in me. And when I was really depressed and I really struggled, that show and that character of Kamina really helped me in a bad pitch. And that means the world. When I hear people in all walks of life, all different ages, how inspirational that show was, that means a lot. When I touch someone's life beyond just entertainment, that's really cool. Another one that's special to me is Ryu in Street Fighter, because he's an iconic character, an iconic franchise, and he got to have a cameo in Wreck-It Ralph, so I got to be in a Disney movie, and I didn't have to be a celebrity to do it.
And I've been pronouncing it wrong my whole life, by the way. I've been calling him Ryu.
Ryu is fair. A lot of people do call him Ryu. But when I started on Street Fighter 4, we started recording in 2007, they said, it's Ryu, not Ryu. It's Hadoken, not Hadouken. I go, okay, well, you guys are paying me. If you say it's pronounced peanut butter jelly time, I'll say that. So I don't correct fans whenever they come up and go, oh, I love Ryu. It's like,
Yeah,
thank
great.
you.
That's awesome.
I'm glad. I'm glad that that character resonates with you.
We are going to start to wrap things up, guys, a little bit, but I want to segue really quickly to the podcast because we haven't had a chance to talk about that yet. Can you give some folks a little bit of detail on the podcast, what it's about, how they can listen to it and watch it?
My podcast is a solo podcast, but I create my own characters that I interact with. So it's called the Intergalactic Boombox. It's on hiatus right now because I'm so busy with cons and everything that I haven't, but there's like 70 plus episodes. You can go listen on any platform, and I do mean any, not just the big ones. Any obscure podcast platform, I've submitted it, it's on. So Spotify, Apple, anything you listen to podcasts on, type in Intergalactic Boombox, and you'll hear me just talk about geek stuff. Geek news, geek reviews, me interacting, short little skits with a couple stoner aliens. I got a conspiracy theorist character named Kenspiracy, who's basically J. Jonah Jameson. Parker, he's a menace. It's just me doing that voice.
Wow, that's spot on.
So yeah, check it out. It's basically 10 or 15 minutes each episode, so it's, you know, nice and short. I'm not like Joe Rogan that just goes on for 3 hours. That's like, I like concise. It's like, give me bite-sized. So please check it out. Let me know what you want. What you think, rather.
We need to take cues from this guy.
We absolutely do, yes. Any other questions, guys, for Kyle before we wrap things up here real quick?
One last one, perhaps?
Yeah, we got one over here. We got this little gentleman over here as well, so. You guys got mics?
There was a dude actually just over here. I didn't. Okay, so
No, he's okay.
who is he?
If I don't get your questions, come to my booth.
Yeah.
I will talk to you.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't, Kyle has a table right over there at the end. Make sure you go check him out. Take some pictures, get some autograph signed.
All
I'm sure
right.
he'll do some voices for you if you ask nicely.
Absolutely.
We saved the best question for last.
Absolutely.
yes.
There we go.
Give it to us, buddy.
I actually know that. Basically, I know about lots of shows. Wait, I watched Dragon Ball Z, and I never do lots of the characters, like Gohan's dad one, and basically the actor of lots of them. Like, do you know, like, name 3 characters that you play, but what's our cartoon?
3 characters to play that were hard for him?
In the cartoons.
Oh, from cartoons.
The hardest character to play from cartoons? Yeah?
Yeah, there we go.
Any sort of character that has to scream a lot. So I have voiced, not really on cartoons necessarily. I was a cartoon in Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I voiced a character named Super Skrull. I think of him as Space Hulk.
That was you. Cool.
Yeah, and he screamed. Luckily, not enough to hurt my voice, because I was done in like 2 hours or less. But when there's a game or anime or anything that requires screaming, it's not about the character, it's about the fact that I have to scream. And the way I save my voice is Chinese cough syrup. Not just cough syrup, Chinese cough syrup. There's stuff in there. It tastes good too. They have it in lozenge form and in liquid form. A couple of spoonfuls, and then you start your screaming session, and then you still have your voice at the end. It's magic.
It's super effective.
It is super effective. If I don't have that, I will sound like this.
Which I'm sure would be good for other voice gigs, but nothing
Yes.
long term, right? Guys, we got to wrap things up. This has been Kyle Hebert. I think he's been great with us. Let's give Kyle a big round of applause, please. If you've got more questions, you want to talk to Kyle some more, you can see him at his booth right over here. Go up and say hi. He's very approachable. He came over to the booth to talk to us. You've been very kind with your time, Kyle. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so
Guys,
much,
one more
Kyle.
big round of applause to Kyle, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, sir.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.